guys, welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Recently I was watching my buddy Rob Rule of 2 make a video about the Nintendo Switch and the future of the console and if it's gonna get a makeover or not. Very interesting perspective that he gives. I'll link that in the description below. For this video, I'm gonna be giving my opinion, and the reason why I'm going to be making this response video is because while I strongly respect Rob's opinion, I don't necessarily agree with it. For those of you who don't know, Michael Pachter, industry analyst, industry insider in the video game industry at large, made a few controversial statements recently about the future of the Nintendo Switch. How he feels like it's going to get a makeover, a much smaller rendition that's going to have the Joy-Cons fused on. It's not going to come with a docking station. It's not going to come with the AC adapter. It's going to be an all-in-one system, similar to what the 3DS is, and a lot of people don't necessarily agree with that. But for those of you who are familiar with this channel, you know I took this stance a long time ago about how not only the mini Switch is going to happen, but it's going to happen a hell of a lot sooner than a lot of people think. Michael Pachter thinks the Switch Mini will be fully portable, meaning it can't be docked or played in TV mode. The Joy-Con controllers will be fused to the console, so they cannot be detached, and it will take the 3DS's position on the budget Nintendo console market. All of that I strongly agree with. Now, the naysayers in the Switch Mini video that I made, and what basically Rob was saying in his video, is that's not very likely because it removes the major function of what the Nintendo Switch presents to the users, and that is the ability to play it on TV or pick it up and play it in handheld mode. To which I say, that's perfectly fine. You can still have the Nintendo Switch to be able to use that if you want to, but for the budget market out there, for the kids, for the people who only play the Nintendo Switch on the go or only play gaming on the go, especially in Japan where it's extremely popular to be playing portable consoles, it makes a ton of sense to shrink the price of the Switch by making it only portable. Most of the people that disagree with this are the ones that take the standpoint of, I don't want that, or I don't think that's absolutely necessary because what I would want is a bigger Switch or something that has better resolution, better graphics, better processing power, make it beefier, have more memory. To those people I say, you are not the target market for what the mini Switch would be. Literally, the mini Switch would be made to fill the market to take over for the 3DS and 2DS market right now. People say that's ridiculous. Nintendo would never remove one of the major selling factors of what the Nintendo Switch is. I say, they're not removing it. The Nintendo Switch is still available for those people who would want that feature. But that's like saying Nintendo would never make a 2DS because the 3DS main feature, the main selling point to the 3DS, is to be able to play the games in 3D. But to be honest, this is a perfect comparison between the two. When I had my 3DS, I always turned the 3D mode off. I never even utilized it. It hurt my eyes after a while, and while it was cool at first, ultimately in the long run, I wasn't really getting the most out of the games playing in 3D mode. But if I wanted to play in 3D mode, I always had the ability to turn it back on. Unless I bought the 2DS. The 2DS removed the major selling point to what the 3DS was. And anybody before the 2DS got announced who heard Nintendo could possibly make a 2DS version of the 3DS laughed at the idea of it. They said it was ridiculous, it was insane. There's no way Nintendo would remove one of the major selling points of the 3DS just to cut costs on the system. Who would the target market be for that? Why would people buy that? And you know what? Nintendo did it. And guess what? There was a gigantic target market for it. Kids, my kids. I bought 2DSs for my kids the day I found out the 2DS was coming out because that was perfect. It was cheaper, I didn't have to worry about their eyes, I didn't have to worry about anything they were doing with the system. It's a strong system that's put together very well that withstands a lot of abuse. Nintendo consoles are, in general, known for being able to withstand a lot of abuse. But in the case of the 2DS, people said that would never exist because it removes the major feature of it. That's exactly what's happening right now with the Nintendo Switch, and why I think Nintendo will make a mini Switch that has the Joy-Cons fused to it. I'm starting to think Michael Pachter might have watched my video on this over a year ago when I said this is not only something that could happen, but would happen. It's just a matter of time. Imagine the doors a mini Switch would open for the market. And when you hear this and you say, I don't think that would work because there are certain games that wouldn't work on it, or that's not something I would want, try to expand your mind a little bit outside of yourself, because if you don't want the mini Switch, that's fine. It just means you're not the target market for it. The point of the mini Switch is to be like a gateway drug to get into the Nintendo Switch family of systems. And this would be something that you could buy for your kids and not worry too much about them abusing the console, because it's less in cost, it would hopefully be a little bit more durable, and at the end of the day, it's more limited in the functions on what it's able to actually do. Another reason why I feel like this is definitely going to happen is what Nintendo did when they changed their DRM policies. Literally, they did it under the rug. They didn't tell anybody about it. It was like a minor cliff note in one of their updates where they completely changed their DRM policies. And I feel like they did this because they plan on incorporating another Switch to the Nintendo family. That was actually a breadcrumb that Nintendo is showing that they're planning on making another console to go alongside the Nintendo Switch. And what I mean, if you're not familiar with the DRM policies, is initially with the Nintendo Switch, when it first launched, I bought two systems, one for me and one for my kids, because they kept using mine and I needed it to review the games and play them. Every time I tried to play one of the games I purchased on the other Switch that I had, it would not allow me to do so unless I went through hell in exchanging my name and putting it on the other system and deleting all the information on one to bring it over. It was a mess. But now Nintendo has updated their DRM policies where you can actually play your games on the other Switch. You just have to sign into your account and you can play them. Yeah, you need to be connected online for a certain amount of time, things like that, but at least you're able to play them now. Which brings me back to my main point of, I feel like Nintendo made that change because they plan on bringing a new console to market so that people who already have a Switch will be buying those other Switches for other members in their household, and they won't run into these gigantic issues trying to play games they've already purchased on a separate console. Just think about it. This console would be, we'll assume, $199.99 USD in the States, compared to $299.99 currently for this Switch that they have right now. If it knocks it down by 33% of the price, just imagine the market that would open up for people who want to get a Nintendo Switch but haven't yet because it costs so much. $100 off doesn't sound like that much, except when you consider it's 1/3 of the price. That's literally cutting it almost in half, and that's a huge discount for people who are on the cliff of, should I buy this or not? This would be a way to almost test it to see if this is something they want to jump full on into. And ultimately, some people in the market of buying this mini Switch would buy the Nintendo Switch to have both features if they want to go full on down the road. Maybe they don't want it, maybe they do, but to have the option to be able to purchase a system to play these Nintendo first-party games, the only place they're available would be on the Nintendo Switch platform. Talking classics like Mario Odyssey, Smash Ultimate, Splatoon 2, among a ton of other amazing first-party games. This would be a way for people to be able to get into the Nintendo market and play those games. So it's a win-win. Nintendo would sell more consoles and more people out there would be able to get into the market to play them, and everybody would be happy. For those people who don't want this mini Switch or don't think it's a good idea, that means you are not the target market for this. Like I said, will it not work with games like 1-2 Switch, which everyone always brings up, or any of the games that require you to remove the Joy-Cons in order to play them? Yes, it would. You would just need to buy a second pair of Joy-Cons to be able to play those games. You wouldn't connect the actual hardwired controllers into the game if you need to move them separately. You would have to buy a second set of Joy-Cons and just connect those separately. So those games still would be playable, just not on the base model of the mini Switch. Honestly, with all these facts taken into account, I'm personally surprised that the mini Switch hasn't even been announced yet. It seems like it's something that's so obvious that Nintendo's definitely going to do it. But I'd be very interested to hear what you guys have to say about this. Do you feel like Nintendo would make a mini Switch in order to get that 3DS market that's, yes, it's still popular, but we all know the 3DS's day in the sun has come and gone, and it's slowly starting to move out of the limelight. this would be the perfect match to get those people to continue playing Nintendo games in the future. Or do you feel like this is completely unnecessary and Nintendo should not make the mini Switch? You think Michael Pachter and me are completely off base with our thinking and this is something that's definitely not going to happen? Nintendo's going to go in the other direction and make something more powerful? Even though we all know Nintendo not to really care about power? Let me know in the comments what you guys think about that. That's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing. Smash,